Thanks for being with us on another post-game edition of the Golden Blue Nation podcast, brought to you as always by Mountain State Oral and Facial Surgery, your premier dental implant destination. Nick Farrell here alongside Sydney Cariel. We're coming to you tonight from Milan Puskar Stadium, the site of West Virginia's first Big 12 home game, which resulted in another lopsided Big 12 loss. After that 41-10 setback at Kansas, the Mountaineers come home and fall to Utah 48-14. So Sid, this one was tough. I mean, we knew coming into this that the Utes were a really quality team and that they were probably going to be angry, frustrated after losing to Texas Tech at home and giving up 24 points in the fourth quarter. They fought hard in that game, and it just didn't go their way. Utah was really, really methodical today, and West Virginia simply was not.
The Utes absolutely came out with something to prove tonight. I mean, they did it on their first drive of the game, and well, really every drive.
Right.
They couldn't be stopped, and I think it felt like after the first quarter, maybe the first half as a whole, WVU's defense just looked deflated. They just looked like they were beaten, and it was tough to feel like they could rebound from that going into halftime down 28-0.
Yeah, this was a really tough one for West Virginia, a team that, of course, has been hampered by injuries, really battered since that victory over Pitt a couple of weeks ago. Remember that not only is Jaheim White out for the season, Jaden Bray out for the season, some new ones have cropped up. Ty Edwards missed his second game in a row. Landon Livingston, who picked up an injury at Kansas, he was a game-time decision, but I don't think I saw him out there today. And then, of course, Nico Marchiol, West Virginia's starting quarterback for the first 4 games of the season, was out for this one, experiencing foot pain. So all that said, a lot of injuries really piling up on offense, and it was the offense that clearly struggled the most in that first half of the game. Fewer than 100 total yards in the first half. Jalen Henderson got the start behind center in place of the injured Marchiol, but he only threw for 22 passing yards in the first half. So once again, Sid, it was the same recipe for disaster against Kansas. The Mountaineers just simply couldn't move the football. Last week against the Jayhawks, it was running the football. West Virginia really struggled in that category. Run game was a little bit better in the first half, but just the passing game was virtually non-existent.
Yeah, the offense stalled once again over and over. And when you thought, okay, maybe we've got something going here, it just stalled. Midfield, couldn't even get a field goal out or anything like that. So it was just tough all around for the offense.
Mountaineers blanked offensively in the first half. Defense, it really wasn't much better. 40-plus points allowed, again, back-to-back Big 12 games. Utah in this game didn't punt a single time, which is a remarkable stat. I think Utah, if I remember correctly, not looking at the final box right now, just some notes from the game, 9 total drives for the Utah offense. 6 touchdowns, 2 field goals, 1 interception. So when you talk about maybe winning possessions as a defensive unit, only 1 real win, an interception by Nick Taylor, the defensive back. The other drives resulted in 6 touchdowns and 2 field goals.
The Utes were 7 for 7 in the red zone. 7 for 7. They had 532 total yards compared to WVU's 346. That says a lot. That tells a story right there. That was tough. But 7 for 7 in the red zone, that's tough to stop when they're so efficient. Yeah,
absolutely, Sid. And I think any coach in the country would take 7 for 7 in the red zone. I'm absolutely certain of that. That is just a spectacular mark. And it's not, West Virginia maybe wasn't exceptional defensively, particularly in the first half, but Utah was just really, really good. I mean, Devin Dampier, preseason newcomer of the year in the Big 12 Conference, he is an exceptional quarterback. He was potentially banged up a little bit last week against Texas Tech. That was the word that came out of Utah's camp after the loss at home against the Red Raiders. But this week, I mean, he was just clinical. He really was clinical against West Virginia. I think in the first half, the Utes had 4 touchdowns. He threw for 3 of them and rushed for 1 more. I mean, the guy is just really, really tough to stop and is going to be a problem for any other defense in the Big 12 this year.
Yeah, agreed. Another note here, just looking at the stat sheets, Utah was also 3 for 3 on 4th downs.
Wow.
And 8 for 13 on 3rd downs. And, it was asked in the postgame for WVU, the first few games of the season, they were pretty good on stopping those 3rd downs. And just the last 2 games have been a little tough. So I'm not quite sure what's going on that side of the ball.
Well, Sydney, whether it was intentional or not, I think you've led us right into our turning point for this game. It was? Okay, very good, Sid. So the turning point, of course, is brought to you, as always, by our friends at First Green Mortgage. Your home is the heart of what we do. Visit them online at fgm.bank, equal housing lender. There was a period of time in the first half when West Virginia was only a 2-score game at the time. The Mountaineer offense just stalled out on back-to-back possessions, 2 consecutive turnovers on downs, including one immediately following that Nick Taylor interception. Here was the sequence. West Virginia goes turnover on downs, failed 4th down conversion. 1 play later, intercepts a Devin Dampier pass to get the ball back, and then the Mountaineers stalled again, and I think this was the scenario where they went to that jumbo package, the heavy package, for 2 consecutive plays, the second of which ended up being a pitch out of that 9 offensive lineman package that went absolutely nowhere on a 4th down. And really, Sid, I think that summed up the game. If there was a moment that things were going to swing, it would have been after that interception. Yeah. And, of course, West Virginia just simply couldn't get anything done.
Yeah, that was right at the start of the second quarter because it was after they, here at the stadium, did the Hall of Fame introduction. So, really, the Hall of Famers walk off and you get the interception. You're like, okay, we got, maybe we're going to turn things around here. And then, yeah, like you said, that did not. Stalled.
Sid, see, you can see how hard it is for Sid to say some of these things.
I know.
It's that effervescent personality, always hopeful, Sydney is.
In that moment in the game, I still had hope.
Right, and I guess there was reason too, right? It was only a 2-score game. You know, they came back from down 2 scores against Pitt. There's a ton of time on the clock. Things could get straightened out. It just didn't happen.
Yeah, really, at that point, you're one big play away from maybe turning this around, which was your key to the game. That's right. Someone had to come up with a big play. That was a big play that then did not result in points.
Yeah, so let's, my key to the game on Mountaineer Game Day, which, by the way, if you haven't joined us for Mountaineer Game Day yet this season, you really have to. Our crew provides great insight plus an exclusive conversation with Coach Rodriguez. We especially encourage you to join us when the Mountaineers are on the road and you're maybe not out tailgating at the stadium at the Blue Lot. Next week, a quick note on Mountaineer Game Day. We're live at 7 o'clock ahead of the BYU game, which is on a Friday night. Kickoff at 10:30, Mountaineer Game Day at 7. We invite you to join us for a live pregame coverage. Sydney and Ryan will be in Provo for that one. So my key was be the guy, right?
Yeah.
Like West Virginia has desperately needed guys to step up and just say, like, here, give me the ball. I'm going to make a play, right? And if there was one guy that summarized that in the second half on offense, it was Khalil Wilkins, who came in to quarterback the Mountaineers after halftime and led West Virginia on a couple of scoring drives. So he goes 3 for 6 for 63 yards and a touchdown. Not everything that he did was pretty. He also rushed for 39 yards on 9 carries. There was one instance where West Virginia had, I believe, its 3rd and final turnover on downs, where Wilkins, on a 4th and 4, threw a pass just short to his intended target. Yeah, it did hit his hands, and you got to catch it, but there were a couple of times where Wilkins did underthrow a few balls. But his touchdown pass to Cam Vaughn was a good one. He threw another good ball to Rodney Gallagher, but Gallagher was flagged for pass interference. That wiped a touchdown off the board. Thought that Wilkins really showed some upside in this game. And again, I get it. Like, maybe some of Utah's starters were out of the game at that point, but like John Henry Daly, the big defensive end who leads the Big 12 in sacks and TFLs, was still out there when Wilkins was quarterbacking West Virginia on its first scoring drive. So there's something to be said about that. I don't want to jump to any conclusions, Sid, but I think the most texted message that I've received is Khalil Wilkins it? I don't think that 30 minutes of offense, he didn't quarterback them on the last drive. I don't think that it's enough to say he's it, but I certainly think that he has earned himself another opportunity and maybe an opportunity to get a start against BYU.
Yeah, so the starting center tonight was Carson Lee, and at post-game, someone asked him, when you guys are rotating between quarterbacks, is that hard on the offense? Because, obviously the last few games, the offensive line has had a lot of question marks on there, and a lot of attention has been on that O-line. And Carson said, no, because every practice we do a good job of rotating in between. So as far as having, Carson being a senior on the O-line and the center, and then Khalil being a young guy, that wasn't a problem at all, is I guess what Carson said at the end of the game. So that was kind of interesting to hear, that at least they are getting reps together often at practice. So maybe moving forward, we'll see what happens. Yeah, and I realize it's easy. What is the phrase, armchair quarterbacking? I realize it's easy for fans to look at what's happening with the quarterbacks and say, when is this going to get figured out? But I think if you've been paying attention the entire time, you know that this is what it was always going to look like under Coach Rodriguez, right? Like, he was adamant going into this season that he thought he had multiple quarterbacks that he could win with. They didn't win today. They didn't win against Kansas, but they did use 3 quarterbacks in the win against Pitt. And I know that Markiel was the guy who came back into the game to ultimately
necessarily lead them to glory on the day. But this is nothing new. Like West Virginia practices with all of these guys, getting reps with the first team, with the second team. So it's not uncommon for West Virginia to try to implement this. And I think that Coach Rodriguez is still just looking for something that sticks, someone to be the guy at quarterback. Maybe it will be Wilkins eventually, but there's still a long way to go there, and you would expect that with a redshirt freshman.
Do you think maybe they found the guy or one of the guys now as in the running back position?
Okay, so that's an interesting question. So Dior Hubbard, I think, is maybe who you're referencing, right? He was West Virginia's leading rusher from the running back position, although Gerard Bowie had the longest rush of the game, and I think was the leading rusher overall. He's 68 yards on one rush. Yeah, that's going to probably do it when your offense is as stagnant as West Virginia was.
Right, because to note on this, obviously, Jaheim White is out for the season, but Sincere Bowers also did not play today.
That's true.
So
and no Edwards.
Yes, so just a note on the running backs, maybe Dior Hubbard, this was a good game for him to finally get more touches and see what he could do.
For sure. And I think that eventually Edwards is going to be the guy at running back whenever he gets his injury situation squared away. Will it be in time for BYU? Will he need the open week? We'll see what the deal is there for number 2, but he's a guy who really is just an emphatic rusher. Seems like a guy that fits perfectly for what Rich Rodriguez wants to do. But there still has to be another guy, right? Edwards
can't
just
take every single play.
Nobody. He's not going to run 30 times, right? And I know, again, running quarterbacks, all of that. There's going to be a lot of runners involved. West Virginia needs multiple guys at running back that can play, that can be reliable with the football. I think that Hubbard showed some upside today, similar to Wilkins, and that's a positive to take away. Speaking of the running game, West Virginia did outgain Utah on the ground, which seemed unlikely going into this one when you consider the dual threat nature of Dampier. The final rushing tally was 261 for WVU, 242 for Utah. But again, the most glaring stat is just in the passing game. They're 290 to 85. West Virginia doesn't go for over 100 yards passing. Just going to be difficult here, no matter who the quarterback is, it seems, to figure that out.
Yeah. It was also interesting post-game. Chase Wilson spoke after the game, and he said that he really believed that it was just execution, that they did not – that's what they did wrong this whole game, because he said at practice he thought they had a really good week of practice, and Coach Alley even had a number of these Utah plays dialed up at practice. They had already seen these all week, and then the fact that they couldn't come out here and execute the play, I think, was the most frustrating part. He made it sound like for the offense or for the defense, sorry. And then he also said at halftime they were just in there in disbelief how they were down 28-0 because they practiced all of that.
Right. They knew it was coming.
Yeah, and they knew it was coming. They saw these plays, so I guess the message was we got to execute, and discipline was what came out of that.
Probably a real credit, though, to Utah's offense. Even when West Virginia knew what was coming, it couldn't necessarily stop it. And that's because Dampier is just an exceptional quarterback and has plenty of weapons to target. Okay, so one last thing before we take a quick break and then listen into Rich Rodriguez's post-game press conference. If you're going to go down, and you're going to go down at home by 34, you might as well look good doing it. And I'm not talking about the play on the field. I'm talking about those sweet 1965 throwbacks. Old gold helmet with the light blue decal. Some are referring to it as Star City blue. Not sure how that started. Might need to do a quick fact check on that. Like someday that's going to end up being a TikTok or a Instagram reel or something about. No, I'm not. No, but our producer Grace is. So I thought West Virginia's uniforms look slick, and I'm a big sucker. There you go.
I have my rally towel still.
Which also,
for people who are watching our podcast, this was so fun. This was
it really
cool.
is. And if there was ever a day to give out rally towels, it's a day when it rains.
Yes,
so
exactly.
That was fine. It helped to wipe off some gear and some seats throughout the stadium, I'm sure.
In the beginning of the game, when everyone was in it and excited, and there was no score yet, the crowd looked really cool as everyone was waving their rally towels. That was a very nice touch, I think, and the logo and everything about it is just awesome.
Absolutely. So I know that naturally, because West Virginia fans, like many, are superstitious, that there's maybe going to be some reluctance to ever wear these again. I personally loved them, and I would love to see them again. I'd love to see them in the rotation. I think they're a great nod to a period of West Virginia football that was almost a turning point of sorts, right? That 65 team won the Southern Conference Championship and also played in the highest scoring backyard brawl. For those of you who aren't historians, before Bill McKenzie's iconic kick in 1975, the brawl very rarely went West Virginia's way, but it did in 65 in the highest scoring brawl ever. Maybe just don't wear them against Utah again, because West Virginia is now 0-3 all-time against Utah, including in the 1964 Liberty Bowl, the season before West Virginia won the Southern Conference in 65 and played in that highest scoring backyard brawl. But the old gold pants, the navy blue jerseys. Huge fan.
Yeah.
Huge fan. I love having the alternates plus the Coal Rush.
Yes, all cool. I got to say, come for a game recap, stay for a history update from Nick.
You can thank John
Learn
Lowe,
something new.
former Golden Blue Nation producer and historian John Lowe, for
yes.
some of my knowledge. And since we're talking about uniforms, let me just get this off my chest, and then we'll go to break. I promise.
Oh boy.
The Jerry West uniforms for the basketball team, wear them all the time. They're sick.
Yeah.
They're awesome. They're West Virginia basketball. And not that the Flying WV is not, but that was a football thing, Don Nealon, and it has become the entire university's moniker. I get it. But West Virginia basketball and Jerry West, that's iconic. And that royal blue,
awesome.
It looks great.
Yeah.
It looks great. And they won a lot in it last year.
They did.
And I bet if they win under Ross Hodge, everybody will be like,
we stormed the court
wear
in
them.
it.
Yeah, wear them again. So anyway, okay, enough uniform talk. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and listen into Coach Rodriguez's post-game press conference right here on the Golden Blue Nation podcast. We're brought to you as always by Mountain State Oral and Facial Surgery, your premier dental implant destination.
The reason I came to the practice was because I had had some teeth extracted and I wanted to get some replacements for it. We did a treatment plan to see how many implants they were going to place, and now I'm actually just waiting to get the crowns. The thing I liked the most about coming here, I was greeted with a smile, everything ran smooth, and that they were really going to do what I wanted them to do to make my smile a little better. They're some of the best doctors, and you will get good quality care.
Searching for a mortgage lender that's 100% local, personal, and focused on home loans? First Green Mortgage has been serving West Virginia for more than 35 years, and they can assist you with every step of your home ownership journey. Visit them in Bridgeport or Morgantown or at fgm.bank.
Disappointing, it's embarrassing how we just failed to execute and didn't have anything that was really good. I mean, coaching wasn't good, playing wasn't good. They didn't never even had a punt. They didn't punt one time. Had 33 first downs. We only had 14 first downs. Just a lot of things to fix. And there's, I know coming in, we don't have a big margin for error, because we're a little nicked up and stuff like that. So I don't want to say you got to play perfect, but you certainly got to play better than what we did today to beat a good Utah team. So, and we got a short week, so I don't think anybody in that locker room will lay down or quit or anything like that. And it's my job to make sure we get this going in a better direction in the next 4 days, because we got a short week to get going against another really good team at their place. So we'll work hard to get it fixed in a hurry.
Rich, I'm sure we'll get to offense, but start with defense. Were you a little surprised? Because your defense played generally pretty well.
We had played. I thought we had played pretty consistent and played well in a lot of our games, but not today. We were leaving guys wide open and missing tackles and giving up deep balls. I thought there was a couple of times we had a chance to make a play on the ball. We didn't quite do it. So it was not good.
How do you think of Khalil Wilkins?
I think he competed well for a young guy. He's getting his first action, and thought he ran hard. A couple of throws probably would like to have back, or we missed a couple easy ones there, but I was proud of the way he competed.
Rich, you mentioned the injuries and kind of being undermanned a lot even going into the week, but after the last couple of weeks, how much do you think even having everybody at full strength would have made a difference, since the scores are still 30-point plus differentials?
You want me to be a hypothetical answer, give you a hypothetical answer to a hypothetical question? I mean, when you get beat like that, whether that makes a difference or not, I don't. Did you hear me say that injuries were the reason we lost? No. But it's a known. It makes it more difficult, more challenging, but you could overcome them.
You take anything away? You had some good receiver play here and there from Cam from Rodney. You had Khalil look good when he came in at quarterback. A couple new offensive linemen got some reps, and the offense was moving. Do you take anything positive away from that to build on? You do.
Yeah, sure. I think you take whatever you can positive. There's not a whole lot from this game, but we'll watch the film, and I don't think we were as physical, maybe in the front, on either side in the first half, of course, but we'll see who played well watching the film and kind of go from there. I mean, Chemo was out and Landon was out, and that was Landon's already out, but Chemo got out in the first half. So are there opportunities for guys to see what they can do? And we don't have an open date until after this one. So the open date will help us, I think, but right now we got a short week for a good team, so we're not gonna just sit back and say woe is me. We're gonna get back to work right away and come up with an idea or a plan to try to help us win.
I know you got to watch film, but how do you think the offensive line? Any evaluation of that?
Yeah, well, in the first half, I didn't think it was good, but I don't know a whole lot of anything. It was good, but I didn't think in the first half we were as physical. And I was concerned coming in. They're big, strong front and all that kind of stuff. But I thought we would, at least have some moments there, and we did a little bit, but it wasn't really. It was hard to get any momentum going.
With the offensive line, the right side, we saw Donovan and Lee get some playing time towards the later part of the game. Was that injury based or just a personnel change?
Well, yeah, injury based, yeah, because Chemo was out, and so that was why Donovan went in, and then we wanted to get Malik some reps, see what he could do. He's a pretty good player. We're not done finding the right combination. I mean, we're 5 games into it. We still gotta. Sometimes you gotta put a guy in there and game reps and see if he can handle it.
Rich, when the game goes like this and you do sit down and watch it, you have suspicion about where do you think you start and pay attention to?
Gosh, there's any number of things. Defensively we couldn't get off on third down. Seems like we missed lose some assignments on covering some guys. Eye discipline was really bad. Looking at the backfield when you're supposed to look at your man. There's I don't know if we miss some gaps or whatever it is. I mean, any number of things. But Zach will get it fixed. And the defensive staff will get it fixed. And offensively, like I said, we're somewhat limited, but we got to come up with a plan. We got some players, and we got to come up with a plan to see what we can do to have success. And the special teams too. It's disappointing. We put a lot of time in there, and it's just, again, we didn't have any. We punted 3 times. They didn't punt any, but our kickoffs, I don't know what's going on there. All of a sudden, we can't kick the ball off. So we got to fix that too.
Rich Ty Edwards warmed up more so than last week, but never any chance for him.
No, wasn't ready to go. Couldn't go.
Rich, how do you make sure this doesn't snowball? I mean, you guys still got a lot of season left.
Yeah, exactly. We're not halfway through yet, and that's. But you wanna, you don't want to sit back and say this is okay either. I mean, I've done this a long time. I've won big and lost big, but you got to make sure the thing you got to make sure is your process and your things that you're doing is right. And I study that every day. I mean, I'm looking at what I did now, a year ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and then what other people are doing. I don't just sit back and say, well, I'm going to do the same old thing and be stubborn and not adapt to the way you got to adapt. But there are certain things that are processed that's non-negotiable, and that's the things that we got to get better at. I don't got to come up with a whole new offense or defense or different practice plan, but whatever we're doing, we got to do a little bit better. And if they're with guys that aren't quite as experienced, which there ain't a whole lot of experience anyway, but we'll get it fixed. Play hard, get it fixed.
That's head coach Rich Rodriguez speaking after West Virginia's 48-14 setback against Utah. West Virginia now 2-3 overall, 0-2 in Big 12 play, and now takes on another Utah team and goes to Utah, in fact, for its next game, which is coming up Friday against BYU. We're recording this a little bit after 8 here at Milan Puskar Stadium. BYU plays Colorado in its Big 12 opener a little bit later, a couple hours from now. Going to be a tough one, going to be a crazy atmosphere in Provo. It's going to be really difficult for West Virginia, I think, but 3-3 going into an open week with a ton of injuries and an opportunity to rest, that's going to feel a whole lot different than 2-4, which I think makes this game a really important one when you look at what's left for West Virginia.
Yeah, it's also going to be tough too because now it's a short week.
That too.
Going in, playing a Friday night game where, BYU, they're ranked number 25 right now, going into Boulder to play Colorado. So that's not an easy environment to go into. So that'll be interesting to see who comes out of that one.
Yep. So West Virginia's next game Friday at 10:30. It is a short week, which is going to be difficult on these shorthanded Mountaineers. We'll keep you posted on everything leading up to Friday's kick in Provo, including Coach Rodriguez's Tuesday press conference. Make sure you head to goldenbluenation.com and the free GBN app to check out our coverage throughout the week as we get you ready for kickoff. And of course, join us for Mountaineer Game Day. Live pregame coverage from Morgantown and Provo comes your way Friday at 7 p.m. on many of our partnered stations. Check your local listings for more details. Again, no better way to get ready for that big one out in Provo than by joining us Friday at 7 for Mountaineer Game Day. All right, we got to wrap. Some folks from the stadium here are getting ready to drive by. They've been patiently waiting for us to shut up, so we're going to do that. For Sydney Cariel, I'm Nick Farrell. This has been another postgame edition of the Golden Blue Nation podcast, and it's brought to you, as always, by Mountain State Oral and Facial Surgery, home of the same-day smile.